CQ RAYNET, this is G4LC, Golf 4 November Romeo Charlie, operated today by Greg, Golf Sierra Delta Uniform Bravo, serving as net control for the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net. This net meets each Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time and is open to all amateur radio operators interested in emergency communications. The primary purpose of the net is to provide the opportunity for members to test equipment, exchange traffic news, opinions and information, with additional information available on the RAYNET-UK website at www.raynet-uk.net. This is a directed net, which means all calls are to be made to the net control station unless you are instructed otherwise, and all RAYNET-UK operators are invited and encouraged to check into the net. When you do check in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name, and if you wish to leave the net immediately after checking in, then please call in and out. Otherwise, if you want to leave after subsequent turns, then please make it clear you want to check out at that time. After I've heard a few check-ins, I'll repeat who I've heard. If you're not acknowledged, then please do try again. If you miss your turn to call in, I will call for any strays at the end of the UK and international sections. So I'll begin taking check-ins as usual in call sign number order. And that's going to mean starting the stations with figure 8, figure 8 in their call sign wishing to check in. Please call now. This is G4 and RC. G4 and RC, second call any stations figure 8 in their call sign. Please go ahead, over. So let's have 7s, stations figure 7 in their call sign, please go ahead, over.
Mike 7, Victor, Sierra Delta, name is Stephen, Dane Valley Group.
G7NEH, Golf 7, November, Echo Hotel, good afternoon, Greg.
G4 and RC, so I've got Stephen, Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta, and Graham, Golf 7 November Echo Hotel. Good afternoon both. Any other 7s please? G4 and RC, over. Heard, so let's have 6s, stations figure 6 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, second call any stations figure 6 in their call sign, please go ahead, over. G4 and RC, no 6s, let's have 5s, stations figure 5 in their call sign, please go ahead, over. G4 and RC, we don't have any 5s in the organisation, so let's go for 4s, stations figure 4 in their call sign, please go ahead, over.
G4 NRC, number 4, Kilo Uniform Juliet in Watford. Good afternoon, Greg.
For RC, G4 KIL, Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, Philip, South Sussex.
Golf 4 Hotel Uniform Foxtrot, Phil.
An RC, so far I've got G4KUJ Trevor, G4KIL Philip, and G4HUF Phil, because all the Phils have to arrive at the same time. Any other 4s please? G4 and RC, over. Nothing heard, so let's go for 3s, stations figure 3 in their call sign, please go ahead, over.
Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, Ian. In and out, thank you, Greg.
Golf 3 Victor, Echo Hotel. Good afternoon, Greg. It's Chris in sunny Millbrook on the Rain Peninsula in Cornwall. Beautiful weekend. In and out this afternoon, G3 VEH.
RNRC, good afternoon, gentlemen. We've got Ian, Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, and Chris, Golf 3 Victor Echo Hotel, both in and out. 7-3 to you both. Any other threes, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard, so let's have twos. Stations figure 2 in that call sign. That includes you intermediate twos. Please call now, over.
Go 0, Tango Golf Echo. A very good afternoon to you, Greg. Toby here in Southampton. Should I say sunny Southampton? Back to net control.
Echo 0, Tango Golf Echo. Good afternoon, Toby. Welcome to the net again. And got you on the list. Any other twos, please? G4 and RC, over. See, nothing heard, so it's ones. Stations figure 1 in their call sign. Please go ahead, over. Second call, any stations figure 1 in their call sign. Please go ahead, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard, so let's have Mike 0, stations of any regional secondary identifier, please call now. G4 and RC, over.
MI0 MSO, Philip, Northern Ireland, in and out this afternoon, Greg, thanks.
Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot 0, Drew, West Devon. G4 and RC, so far I've got Philip, Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar in and out, 7-3 to you, and Drew, Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra staying with me. Any other Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, please, over.
Mike 0, November Alpha Sierra. Neil from Essex RAYNET, just testing, make sure it's working after some recent problems with your hotspot. In and out. Good afternoon, everyone.
Mike 0, November Alpha Sierra, good afternoon, Neil. Copied you in and out, and that was loud and clear, no dropouts on that transmission, so everything's fine. Okay, let's go for Golf 0, stations of any regional secondary identifier, please, over.
Golf Whiskey 0, Juliet Lima X-Ray. Good afternoon, Greg. Name is Andy, RAYNET, Pembrokeshire. No traffic today, so in and out, please, over.
0, Juliet Lima X-Ray. Good afternoon, Andy. Copied you in and out. Thanks for tail ending the usual call-ins as always. 7-3 to you if you're in and out. Let's have any UK stations. Any UK stations who missed their turn to call in, please call now, over. For an RC, do we have any of our international colleagues on air today? That's usually North Sandband of Norway, Arran in Ireland, Aries in Slovakia, or Dares in the Netherlands. Any of our international friends, please? G4 and RC, over. Nothing heard. Do we have any stations then, UK or international, who've missed their turn to call in that wants to do so? Please call now. This is G4 and RC. G4NRC, nothing heard. Okay, usual reminder, Graham G7NEH is streaming the net to YouTube as usual today. Past live streams and recordings are available by searching G7NEH, that's Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, on YouTube, and looking for those past streams. If you'll hit the like and subscribe button, it'll help them know that people find the service worthwhile. It's a bank holiday weekend for much of the country and relatively few events today. Looking ahead, there's a slight uptick in the number of events scheduled for September, and given the use of the event diary to coordinate frequency usage, especially for temporary repeaters, please be sure to keep the diary up to date to avoid any issues. On the topic of temporary repeaters, the response time for getting high power repeaters, i.e. above 25 watts ERP, licensed has slowed down, with the 90-day prompts for renewal looking challenging, and may have to start thinking about the renewal process earlier if there's to be continuity of service. This might get better in future years as some of the earlier high power repeaters are moved onto proper MOVs, but we may have to start the process significantly earlier for some of those earlier units as they get radialised onto the proper Ofcom systems. If we could get around some of the frequency planning issues of our temporary repeater networks, it'd be interesting to see how much of the country we could actually serve. You may think this information will be readily available for other networks like mobile phones, but detailed surveys are hard to do. The website ISP Review reported this week on the largest ever survey of coverage in 33 council areas in the region of the River Severn. What does good coverage look like to them? Well, it's all about data now, so it has to be greater than 1 megabit down, half a megabit upload, and less than 100 milliseconds latency to qualify for what was defined as essential coverage. Scores ranged widely between networks and locations, with essential coverage falling as low as 35 to 40% in several rural council areas. The definition of poor coverage areas may change, but they never really go away. So with that, let's see what thoughts we've got from you all this week. Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, this is Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta. Very good afternoon to all on the net. It's always a battle doing frequency planning. Finding enough spectrum for everybody. It's always a battle. Well, as I discussed with you about the Air Cadet frequency allocations at UHF, and some of them coming a little bit close to other amateur services. So that could always be an interesting one. Cross that bridge when we come to it. Talking of 77s, I've been using 77s today on 433 Alive. Had a couple of contacts just using a handheld, mainly high ground stations. So we did get 77s alive. Over.
7 Victor Sierra Delta G4NRC returning. Okay, Stephen. Yes, it's interesting when we look across at some other countries who seem to have quite large repeater networks, and then you think they're rather flat. So I found out the hard way that in the Netherlands many repeaters manage to function very satisfactorily on just 1 watt ERP and still manage to cover a sufficient amount of the country. So we do have this clash of high spots and winding the power back enough so we could do what we practice for, because it's not all about the random 3 or 4 events around the country, but what if we had to light up the whole region or even the whole country up at a time? It'd be interesting to see the output of the 433 Alive event. I must admit I'd forgotten all about it again. Yeah, I think mostly they get publicised on the Facebook algorithm, which usually hides things. Okay, let's go to Graham, G7NEH, and see if we've got any comments or viewers on YouTube. G7NEH, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G7NEH returning. Yeah, good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon to all on the net. No comments from YouTube viewers at the moment on the chat. Last week's views were 37 views and 4 likes, and this week. At the moment, we've only got one viewing and 3 that have viewed. Not a lot else from me, so if you take me out of the next round, please, Greg. I'll obviously continue to stream the net to the end. G4NRC, G7H.
G4NRC returning. Okay, I do have the feeling those viewer numbers are still starting to take up, Graham, which is kind of showing the leverage. I know I've commented before the news items and recognising more and more I'm writing them to go into the Friday news, not to necessarily get consumed here, but we had 12 check-ins today, people listening as well, probably on top of that. 37 on YouTube is probably another 50% of the viewership, which is well over 1 or 2% of the RAYNET membership. Okay, thanks, and thanks for doing the streaming. I'll let you know when I'm ready to do some radio testing, maybe this week after I've done some repairs. Meanwhile, back to Trevor, G4KUJ, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC and the group G4KUJ. Good afternoon to everybody. What have I been up to this week? Mainly Arden focused. I've now got the latest firmware 325.8.0 running on the HAP Lite, an AR300 and the AC3, and they're all loaded well and working fine. Of particular interest, I think, for the HAP Lite user like you, Greg, it's been running for 8 days. It is slower to connect to nodes than I think maybe some of the previous versions, but so far it has not dropped out. It's been absolutely fine. It's been rock solid. And also before that I ran the previous version 325.5.1. I ran that for 3 weeks without any issues. So the new build looks interesting. To Drew, following up our exchange of emails yesterday, at the moment I can get into your gateway. I can see the supernode, but it's not connecting through to it. Got a few other points on Arden, but I'll pick those up on the next over, Greg. G4NRC, G4KUJ.
For KUJ, G4NRC returning. Okay, so for the data segment of the net as it grows into, Arden, in the Zero Retries newsletter this week, they repeated something on the Arden website, that they're accelerating the change away from the old OLSR routing mechanism to the new one called Babel. They had planned on dragging it out over a year or more, but because over 80% of nodes have picked up the newer firmware, etc., they will be switching the old method off from the end of the year. I think that was it. Drew might be better placed to correct me if I've got that timing wrong. But it does mean that for the next few months at least, there's going to be 2 versions of firmware kicking around. One which uses both routing protocols and one that only uses the newest one. So again, I'm probably just going to wait and see how it all sorts itself out for which one I get as the automatic download and will it fit. But thanks for the info. Okay, now to the HF segment, maybe Philip. Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G4KRL. Yes, that's HF I'm going to be talking about, I think, this time. And the first thing to say is the my experience on the last Thursday night, wasn't it? When the the net. I think I mentioned that more recently I've been able to make use of a is it Japan Radio Corporation mains-powered receiver. My general feeling had been I'm not keen on mains-powered ones because I couldn't use it if there weren't any mains. But I mean, it's a very expensive radio, I think, if you buy it originally, and I'm pleased to have got hold of it without it basically costing me anything. But quite interesting that picking yourself up, and also the MM station last Thursday, was tantalising, really. I could tell you're there, which I don't think I can on my own radio, but I can't actually hear what you're saying, which is rather frustrating. But it is an interesting comparison. And I think the main encouragement to me then is to keep working at the CW, because that obviously would be the ways to get through it. I really do think we would be able to communicate if I got that up. So there's a challenge for me. Also HF related, I just before coming, I'm in the building next door to where I live at the moment. Just before coming next door, I did set up the my little SDR play on 40 meters JS8 call. And Trevor, I'm picking you up. I managed to pick up a heartbeat from you just before I came, and I think it was showing -2, which is not bad at all. On a a 10-meter bit of wire just hung out strung between the first floor flat window and the trees opposite. Not the one I use on when I'm doing the RAYNET HF. So that's quite encouraging. Yeah, I think that's probably all from me, at least for this time round. Keep on listening, and I'll be up on Thursday with the hopefully with the it's a non-voice net, I think, on Thursday, if I remember rightly. G4NRC, G4KL.
For KIL, G4NRC returning. Okay, yes, well, conditions there are changing, so I could just about tell you we're there as well on 60 metres on Thursday. Interesting, the comments about encouraged to get to CW for better readability. It's funny that the latest ICOM announcement for new radios from the Tokyo Ham Fair is a Mark II of the ICOM 7300, which, aside from having the ability to plug in a big screen and external filtering and so on, has quite high up the advertising video. It has a built-in CW decoder. So kind of reinforcing, if you like, the interest in a mode now that we don't have to do it to get a license. Noise levels here remain stupidly high. I haven't got around yet to pushing the button on getting fibre to the premises, which might then spur some of the neighbours to get fibre to the premises to reduce the noise levels around here a little bit. But still doing a bit of research about what the effects might be, and then what antennas I may still go for, because I'm still on the rather short 54-foot end fed for general purpose use. And with an eye to forward seasons, I've had my SDR running Whisper and FT8 monitoring on top band, because sunset times are getting closer and closer to net times. Right, we've got 3 to go. Next one to go is Phil, G4HUF, G4, and I'll see you.
This is G4HUF. Yeah, good afternoon, Greg, and to everybody else on the net. Well, much of my news cannot be disseminated on the net, but I'm sure you're well aware of it, having seen 1 or 2 emails from me recently, Greg. The mention of the 7300 Mark II, I've got to be honest with you, I got quite interested when I saw that materialise. And I thought, yes, that does look like a nice improvement. However, seeing as I have not yet fired my 7300 Mark I up in anger, I've only used it for occasional monitoring. Going and purchasing one of those seems to be a little bit of a pointless exercise at this stage in the process. So we're trying very hard to ignore all the excitement on that particular point. And as far as other activities are concerned, I was quite disappointed to realise that my trip away to North Yorkshire clashes with the Edinburgh trial, which is definitely a disappointment because I've enjoyed going out there for the last few years to assist on that one. So that's a little bit demoralising in that respect, but at the same time, we need to keep she who must be happy, don't we? So that's the excitement from this end, but nothing else I think of any great importance to share with the net. So on that note, I think you can sign me out on this time round, Greg. This is G4HUF.
G4NRC returning, not knowing quite why that would carry a drop then. Okay, so I've got you signed out on this one. Trevor's just updated the log. Most of the announcements of new radios now are all about the toys and not whether it does anything any better. So it's still at the end of the day a radio, and I'd love to see any sensitivity data or anything else that implies it's more efficient on receive. They did also make a little bit about that. It's 200 milliamps less on receive power demand. But I was getting really stuck around what is the minimum noise floor we should expect on lower HF bands or even MF bands, to understand that it's never going to get any better than the strength 4 or 5 I'm living with, and no amount of technology change is going to make a difference. And then we just, per Philip's comments, change the modes to get through. So I've got the Mark 1, not tempted enough to go to the Mark 2, just interested to see how much they can justify by way of a price rise for the extra toys. Also noted, and I suspect your group might be in the same mood as mine, we've had the message through from North Staffs about the bike ride that they cover in September. Not getting a huge amount of interest at the moment, so I'll have to chase that one a little bit more to see if we can get anybody out to assist on that rather wide area 100-mile bike ride of theirs. Okay, thanks Phil, and 732 for coming on the nets, and yes, I've seen the emails and you copied my comments earlier. Right, Toby, second from last, 2 Echo 0 Tango Golf Echo G4, and I'll see you over.
I'll say 280TG, and a very good afternoon to everybody in the group. I have a question for all of you. I've been experimenting with DMR text messaging over here, and very successful it has been as well. Is there, or would anyone consider using DMR text messaging within the group when our field exercise limited mobile coverage and limited radio coverage? G4NRC 280TG.
Echo 0 Tango Golf Echo G4NRC. Just repeat, because there was a dropout on you, Toby, just repeat all after would anyone consider, just so we get the context of it again, over.
Would anyone consider using DMR text messaging, DMR SMS messaging on their radios? So in particular issues when they're out in the field on particular events. We have one particular event down here, New Forest Marathon. Now, there have been situations where I have been in areas where there's been limited cell coverage, limited radio coverage, in and out sort of coverage, but full digital signal on DMR, whereby I can send
text messages back and forth. I haven't consulted this with my group here, but I just wanted to get the feel of whether or not anyone else within the community would use this particular messaging system when out in the field. 2E0TG.
Echo 0 Tango Golf Echo G4NRC returning. Okay, thanks for that, and that over was perfectly clear that time round. So I'm just reading somebody adding into the log as well at the same time. So one of the reasons I probably haven't looked at it is that there were issues in SMS messaging between different types of radios. I think at one point it was about as much fun as it was doing encryption between different styles of DMR radios to see if it would work. Now we are a few years down the line from that now, so it would have some benefits if we could do it, let's see now, to provide privacy and security, because I'm not sure whether the SDR programs that will cheerfully start decoding plain DMR, whether they even pick up on the text channel or not to see what's going on. So I can see it having some uses, Toby. It probably is worth dusting off and having a fresh look at. But we'll see what others think. Starting with Drew, I suppose, who also uses DMR. Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC M0 MFS. DMR text messaging. There's a blast from the past. Haven't done anything with it for 3 or 4 years. Used to do it really well when I was a Total Hytera shop. Now I'm a Total Motorola shop, and I've not done anything with it, but I'm sure it, being a Total Motorola shop, it would work, no issues whatsoever. And I see some possible areas of interest, although going on to subject number 2, which is LoRa APRS, I'm currently playing with messaging on LoRa APRS. The uptake in Devon and Cornwall is really quite, well, I wouldn't say it's great, but it's got to the stage now where the whole county is covered with 5 or 6 digipeaters, and we can track quite nicely, and trackers are coming at about 25 to 30 pound cased. Messaging is something we're playing with, so that is interesting. I put my digipeater a little bit higher over the weekend, and I'm now picking up a digipeater in mid Wales. So it's amazing what you can do with 200 milliwatts, albeit quite widespread. So that's interesting. Other than that, Arden, yeah, I know that they're pushing the Babel stuff quite hard. I didn't catch that it was the end of the year, but it doesn't surprise me. There's been 2 copies of the nightly build, one with both of them with only Babel for about maybe 6 months now. So it doesn't surprise me that that's the way they're going to go. Obviously, you need to be careful, because once you've loaded a Babel only, where there isn't an easy way back other than wiping the whole thing and starting again. There's a new nightly build just started to appear, so I'm guessing there are some issues in the new released build. And as far as Trevor, I can't see any issues with my my Supernode. I just checked, and it's all the 8 people it normally connects to, it's connecting to, and it seems to be playing ball. So when you've got 5 minutes to tell me exactly where you're seeing the issue. Other than that, I'll wait for the next time round from M0 MFS.
Foxtrot Sierra G4 NRC returning. Okay. Having brought in the other favourite formats or acronym of APRS, I would also have advocated in the past, and probably still would, APRS full stop for messaging, but noting Toby's comment that he's got radio coverage but not DMR coverage, has poor radio coverage but better DMR coverage. The rule of thumb I remember ages ago from the APRS website was that APRS range with the 1200 baud AX25 modem was only about half what you could get with voice. So as modulation methods have changed, and DMR and LoRa, then they're digital all the time, so if you can hear them, it's going to work just as well for data as it would have done for voice, I suppose. So, okay, it's another one in the pile, kind of to play with. Got to say at the moment, anything LoRa, Meshtastic or otherwise around here is not going very far at all by the feel of it. But that's just the joy of the Northwest. Okay, that's, I think, dealt with all of those. So we are a couple of stations short, but we'll go around for any second and last thoughts from everybody and close any of the loops. Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta, G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, G4 and RC, this is my...
G4 and RC, noting Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta's dropped off the system with a blaze of glory, so he's probably talking, not realising he's dropped out of the repeater. Just before people start blipping up, I know, we'll give it another few seconds and then see if he's dropped carrier. G4 and RC.
G4 and RC, this is Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta. Yeah, just had a quick flick onto my emails, noted the emails about the WMAC bike ride. Check the calendar and see if I'm available, and yeah, you might have another volunteer, you never know. But for now, I will say 7-3 and hand it back to you until next weekend.
Yeah, Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta, G4 and RC. We lost pretty much everything after your initial call through to your response back that you checked your emails and noted about the Dougie Mac. So you crashed out of the repeater again, Stephen, which is just, it's not a thing with atmospherics, it's a thing with the repeater. Everything seems to be up. It just doesn't seem to like you whether you're on the border line of the system or not. Let me just check if we missed anything for what you said in that gap though. M7 VSD, G4 and RC, over. And RC and answer came there, none. Okay, I guess there was nothing then, so Trevor, round to you. G4KUJ, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC, G4KUJ. Yeah, okay, Greg, well you covered the point I was going to make on the second about the news from Arden about bringing forward the Babel, or the change to Babel. I think they said they're making that decision on the fact that 80% of the nodes are already on Babel, and that the next version, which is Babel only, will be 4 point something, and that will come out during 2026. So it'll be interesting to see what that brings forward. But Greg, Drew is very right in saying that if you still got legacy tunnels running, for instance, it'll and you upgrade, they won't work. But it's all that there's in the news section which came out during the week. there's a section on what they're proposing to do for development. Any other things this end? I've been having some conversation with Houston UOD on email today, and I've now got a tunnel to him. And I checked out the QO100 system this morning, and it's all A-OK on, and also on data on Libya. So that's about it from me. Back to you, Greg. And Drew, perhaps we can have a chat after the net's closed. G4KUJ.
KUJ, G4NRC. Yeah, having used that statistic himself with our previous owner, I've just realised the huge flaw in it though. 80% of active nodes are on the new system. I'm looking at 3 nodes here that haven't been powered up for a few months. A couple of wide area microtics and a GLI 300. So I wonder how many, particularly RAYNET members, have got equipment which is buried away with the, it's there if I need it, I'll just get it out and use it. Which is the flaw, which is why we do nets like this, to make sure everybody can use their DMR systems, etc. But it is possibly a bigger flaw with some of the more transportable kit that some groups may have had on Arden. I'm also thinking of our German colleagues who've probably got quite a bit of updating to do for their trailer load of Arden mesh equipment. Okay, thanks Trevor, and yeah, by all means pick it up with Drew after the net. You've got the talk group, so I can go to a different one. Right, Philip, G4KIL, yes, I will be on the non-voice net on the 28th, that's certainly my attention anyway. G4KIL, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G4KL. Okay, great. I say, I hopefully we'll be there. Rushing around a bit in the afternoon, but should have enough time to get that sorted. Yes, CW decoding programs. Probably a good idea if I do have a bit more look at that. I have tried it on FLDigi. Can't say I was not impressed with it on there. Whether I just didn't get the settings right, I don't know, but it really didn't seem to do very well. I think there are some broader, better ones that are given better write-ups than that, and sort of at least pay something for. I had a look at one. Can't remember whether it was available for the Mac or whether it was only Windows. And I could potentially use either. For where I do the HF radio, the Mac would be easier for me to do. But yeah, maybe should have a bit more of a look at that. Though don't tempt me to get lazy and not bother to learn to do it myself, because that would be much better. Making some progress on that, incidentally, but still slow progress. Okay, that's very good. Thanks for the net. Should be up next week, as far as I know. Slightly questionable in terms of this net next week. There is something else I'm supporting next week, which might mean I'm totally involved in what I'm doing something else when the net's taking place, but that's not completely clear now, but otherwise it will be the week after, I guess. But hopefully communicate with you, albeit by text, on over the net on Thursday. And then we will be into the next month, and there's one on the 1st, which is Monday, I think. So I should be able to manage that one. That will be one on the 1st. I will have to shoot off about 25 past 8 because it's the Monday night is our local net as well. So that will be that one, and then from then on it's Tuesdays, I think. Not sure about those. Okay, I'll say 73s and hope to speak to you later at some point. G4NRC, G4KL.
G4NRC returning to G4KL, my apologies. Yeah, the nets actually drop onto Sundays after the 1st, from what I've just looked at, so more daytime, possibly more drag on me. And I hate to point it out to people, but basketball season starts real soon, like next month, so we'll be looking for some support to run the net on a few days, or you'll be having truncated nets again. But I've got quite a few clashes to work around through September and October. yes, that was it. If you have an Android phone, and I'm not sure about your life choices, I think we've discussed that in the past, there's an app called Morse Expert, which I found does a reasonable job of decoding using the microphone in the phone just picking up off the loudspeaker. So yes, it's only a crutch. It's not a substitute for getting the human computer programmed up to actually to do the job properly. Anyway, thanks for that, Philip. And we've got 2 left to go. Toby, hopefully you've certainly saw on some discussion. Commentary last time around was your audio seemed to be a bit on the loud side, so I'm listening a bit harder this time to see how you compare to some of the other stations. 2 Echo Zero Tango Golf G4 and RC over.
For an RC to a 2E0 TG, yes, I seem to not have a drink next to me because my throat's going all haywire, but I hope this audio is a little bit better than the previous overs that we've had on the net. G4 and RC to E0 TG.
To Echo Zero Tango Golf Echo G4 and RC. Yeah, your audio is a little bit on the hot side compared to a number of other stations on the net today. We haven't got anything that gives a quantitative output of how loud you are. I think that used to exist on Brandmeister, so you could see whether your audio is a bit on the hot side or not. But yes, it might just be one just to back the microphone a little away and see if it just helps out next week when you rejoin us. Anyway, okay. Anything further from you, Toby, on that? 2 Echo Zero Tango Golf Echo G4 and RC over.
And RC 2E0 TG. No, nothing further. Just wanted to bring up that DMR SMS as a particular discussion point, but I'll continue experimenting here, etc. But certainly I'm enjoying that small experimentation I'm doing here. I've got a Receiver's single band 2-meter radio here as well, and the text messaging from an Anytone to a Receiver's seems to be alright. Yeah, I can understand the encryption factor. Yeah, different encryption models on the CPS software tends to be a bit of an issue. Maybe not using it. That's why I asked about the DMR SMS system. But anyhow, have a good rest of the week there, and hope all is well. I think the WX is going to be pretty damn good. So yeah, good stuff. Yeah, 7-3 is all, and we'll catch you probably next week. G4 and RC to E0 TG.
To Echo Zero Tango Golf Echo G4 and RC. Okay, Toby. Well, you certainly provoked the conversation, and some more testing will need to be done. I'm not sure where we're at going through the RAYNET-UK server, because we don't use that as much for private person-to-person calls as we could do. So having something where I know that text messaging goes through as well might be another worthy test there. Okay, 7-3 to you, and the net today is brought to a close by Drew. Mike Zero, Mike Foster, Sierra, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC, M0 MFF. I'll make it brief. The one non-digital thing I was going to talk about was, I don't know about everybody else, but we are finding it very difficult down here to staff events at the moment. We've got 2 or 3 long-term sick members, and they're some of the ones you could always rely on. And so we're struggling, and we're going out to the groups around us for support, but they seem to be struggling as well. And then on the digital front, just one final comment before I go. My tunnel to NetNet is back, but it's on a HAP Lite running the old software, because that is indeed a legacy tunnel. And if I look at the most of the NetNet hardware, it's quite old ubiquity hardware, which I think has been sunsetted. So obviously that
that area, there's a lot of work to be done. Other than that, thanks for running the net, Greg, and catch you all next week from M0MFS.
Foxtrot Sierra G4 and RC. Yes, so you dug a little bit deeper than I might have done, but again, it's the point, it's gear. Theirs at least is in use. And we could probably look up to Edinburgh for FeedNet and their mesh network up there, which is even older. And then comes the next challenge, that since there is no national requirement for mesh networking, because we're all driven by a local resilience for it and what they want, NetNet could quite happily, as does FeedNet, sit on its old hardware and does what it needs to do locally and not need an interface with the rest of the world. But when we're trying to get more people interested in newer modes, not just digital, we've talked about CW enough today, or different modes then having some common playground where we can all go and share experiences, just as we've done with this DMR server courtesy of Guy, is something that's useful, drives standardization, but then highlights other issues. So, okay, so thanks for all those contributions, Drew, and thanks to everybody for taking part today. I'll bring the net to a close, so be careful and have a good week, and until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 local time, I'll close the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net on talk groups 2331 Pheonix and Brandmeister and 50235531 on the RAYNET-UK system, and return those talk groups to being an open net rather than a directed one. 730, this is G4 and RC now closing and reverting to my normal call sign of Golf 0, Delta Uniform Bravo. Bye bye.